Practicing mercy. Words from the prophet Isaiah, chapter 58. If you offer your food to the hungry and satisfy the needs of the afflicted. I had to stop there. I'm struck by the pronoun your food, not someone else's. The food you had set aside for yourself. That is the food you give to the hungry. Feeding the hungry is about recognizing and acknowledging what we have first received. I know a couple of households on my street, families with children here. The moms there got to know each other and have had a friendship defined by their helping each other out. One of these moms would run out of milk or eggs, essential items in anyone's fridge, just as breakfast plans were underway. They would simply run across the street early in the morning to borrow a couple of eggs or half a carton of milk. And I wonder how much of that happens anymore, not just to those two, but in general, relying on a neighbor for help, feeling confident in crossing the street, knocking on the door and asking, can I borrow a couple of eggs? The pandemic certainly magnified this cultural trend, underscoring a belief in self-reliance, hoarding toilet paper, doing it on my own time and whenever I want to do it, using my own resources to make it through life, survival of the fittest, the smartest, the opportunist, looking out for one's own. We've truly become a society in which relying on a neighbor's help is not in vogue. It makes us vulnerable. It puts us in someone else's debt, and we don't like that. It shows weakness, lack of personal organization, not the qualities we seek in a me-first, success-oriented culture. In the psalm for today, from Psalm 112, we read, "Light shines in the darkness for the upright. The righteous are merciful and full of compassion." Merciful. What does it mean to show mercy? One meaning of mercy is to provide relief. When you provide relief for someone, you're not necessarily solving the bigger problem for them. You are simply being merciful, cultivating a compassionate relationship, relieving the suffering just a bit. You're not counting the cost. This year, we left our Christmas tree up until February the 2nd. For a couple of reasons. For one, my brother, his wife, and daughter visited us last week for dinner so we could finally celebrate Christmas together. But we also wanted to observe an old tradition in the church. February 2nd is one of the most ancient Christian holy days, the feast of the presentation of Jesus, also called Candlemas. It commemorates the events of the Gospel of Luke in chapter 2, when Joseph and Mary brought their newborn son to the temple in Jerusalem. The purpose was Mary's purification, a cleansing ritual 40 days after the birth of a son. Upon arriving at the temple, they encountered Simeon, an elderly blind prophet awaiting the Messiah. He took the child from them and proclaimed, "My eyes have seen your salvation, which you have prepared in the presence of all peoples, a light for revelation to the Gentiles and for glory to your people Israel." This event marks the final festival in the cycle of light. Yes, weeks ago, do you remember? Advent began with lighting candles on a wreath in anticipation of Jesus' birth. Then Christmas, accompanied by angelic beams on the family in a manger. Epiphany celebrated the star, directing seekers to his birthplace. And as the season following Epiphany unfolds, the light expands, inviting the first disciples to come and see, from John. The final movement in the arc of light is Candlemas, where the entire world is set ablaze with God's manifestation of love. Christian feast days are, of course, theological, but they are laden with cultural meanings as well. In the Roman world and in Europe, where Christianity would flourish, early February was an important time in the cycle of seasons. Candlemas falls halfway between the winter solstice and the spring equinox, and is the time when many of Europe's ancient tribal people believed the earth woke up to new life. It marked the season of lengthening days and was associated with fertility, the lambing season, and the returning of light. The tradition of Candlemas came out of this intersection of the Jewish story of Mary's purification and Jesus the light, with the primal seasonal celebrations of Mother Earth and brighter days ahead. Thus, on February 2nd, it became a practice that many Christians would bring their candles to the church to be blessed and then walk through towns or villages in candlelit processions. The long weeks of winter candle festivals from Advent to Christmas through Epiphany end with us bearing light into the world. In a way, it all began so passively, waiting for God to act, to birth peace and justice in the world. God did something for us, gave us a gift of life and light, and we must receive it. And the cycle concludes with a remarkable challenge, words that millions of Christians today hear in the gospel. You are the light of the world, from Matthew chapter 5. You are the light. Yes, God created the light. Jesus is light in the darkness. And yet we, fragile and flawed human beings, are the light of the world. Jesus says, no one after lighting a lamp puts it under the bushel basket, but on the lampstand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others. We are the light. How do we be the light and show mercy? What is the quality of faith that starts this journey for us? One place is right here in the church at the communion table, the altar. We come to this point of the liturgy every Sunday with this posture on our hearts and minds. Here is my offering. Take it, use it, transform it, make it beautiful. And so we gather together and bring the stuff of our lives. We bring it to the table, our gifts, and place them in the offering plate. We also bring all those things that are remained unnamed, our fears, our worries, mortality, even sickness. We bring our dreams and our wounds. We place all of that on the altar and ask Christ to take it, to change it, and make it usable, to transform it into something that can reflect the life of Christ, his wholeness, his hope. Then, once the prayers are said over the bread and wine that symbolize all our named and unnamed offerings, we receive it back again, transformed. We receive it as something that can infuse us with his very life. So what's broken in us can be restored. What's not enough can become enough. Our wounds and fears can be transformed into gifts. Gifts we can offer the world so those who are hungry can be fed. So those who are suffering can find relief, find mercy. We are defined then, not so much by what we do in our self-sufficiency culture. We are defined by what we first receive. I want to close with a prayer, which is a poem by Wendell Berry. I know that I have life only insofar as I have love. I have no love except it come from thee. Help me, please, to carry this candle against the wind. Amen. I want to thank Adam Bucko and Diana Butler-Bass for providing many of the insights in these words I've just spoken.